Piggy, a game with incredible story, character development, and secrets. Throughout the years, this game has churned out many videos on uncovering secrets, explanation of chapters, and events that took place in Piggy. But what is the timeline? Well, unless you misclicked, that's what you're here for. For those that don't know, Piggy has multiple endings throughout the story, but the endings that we are going to be focusing on are going to be the true ending, savior ending, and hidden ending. Also, I am aware that all characters canonically can only carry one item, but I'm not making them go back and forth to get items for chapters, as you will soon see. Some parts are also hard to tell what actually happened, so there will be a blue stripe in the top left corner for things that aren't said to be canon, and a green stripe for things that are canon. With that out of the way, grab some snacks, something to drink, get in the submarine, and let's dive right in. For everyone new to Piggy, you'd probably say the timeline starts at Book 1, Chapter 1. It's not that. For the more experienced players, you'd probably say the timeline starts with Willow or Tigree's childhood. You're getting closer. For all you detectives out there, you'd probably say the timeline starts with Tio's backstory, and you'd be right. The timeline actually doesn't start with the chapter, but a note. Specifically the Season 2 note. This note, among others, talk about Tio and his friend, most likely Mr. Stitchy. Their friendship started with Tio summoning Stitchy into the world of Piggy after Stitchy was presumably neglected in his own world and was befriended by Tio after being summoned. Tio, excited by his newfound friend, gave him a face of his own to form a friendship bond. The two would hang out together to become good friends, until at some point Tio falls ill, potentially from being around Stitchy. The illness gets so bad that Tio lost an eye. Realizing what he had done, Stitchy leaves Tio, but Tio, believing that Stitchy left because Tio was starting to look like him, banished Stitchy from his home. Stitchy would then disrupt the nearby countryside in anger. But Stitchy would return with a face of his own for Tio alongside a proposition for him before Tio died. After Tio's death, Stitchy would then try to heal from losing Tio and promise his world domination. Many years later, Willow is born into a life of crime alongside her little brother William. Unfortunately, their parents are arrested for unknown crimes, and Willow and William are left without anyone to care for them. Willow and William live alone together for some time before being taken under Daisy's hoof, so to speak, and she takes care of them. William is still saddened by the loss of his parents, though, and at such a young age. Unfortunately, Daisy is politely asked to serve in the military, and Willow and William have lost another person that they cared for. Willow writes in a journal how she will still keep William safe, but wishes it was her instead, noting that Daisy was the only one who could do the service. She continues writing she won't be able to take it if she loses anyone else. William takes Daisy's loss very poorly, becoming stubborn and upset. Presumably after Daisy left, Willow formed a criminal group consisting of Billy, Rash, Pony, Kitty, and potentially others in order to feed herself and William. William would also have a friend whose name began with K. Tigree grew up around the same time as Willow, but had a bad relationship with his parents, constantly being neglected for his success and ignored for his accomplishments. Tigree's school life wasn't much better, having to endure constant bullying and clotheslines in the hallway. Sometime later, Tigree has had enough and sneaks out of his home and enlists in the military after seeing a poster. Tigree would then become one of the best soldiers under the training of Sergeant Monroe and would serve under his command. Bunny grew up in a fairly large house with her two little sisters, Brella and Bonnet. She enjoyed playing at a local playground, arcade, having birthday parties, and hanging out at a mall with their friends Sheepy and Gloria. Later on, Bunny and Sheepy would attend a medical school, and Gloria would continue on to become a teacher. Mrs. P and her billionaire carnival owner husband, Mr. P, live on a farm until Mrs. P falls ill from an unknown disease later named Linioma. Mr. P then donates 40% of his bank funds in order to research a cure for the disease. The funds went to stuff like scientists, equipment, facilities, and more. Some people involved included Bunny, Sheepy, Badgie, and possibly Barry. Giraffe is also a camp counselor for a short while in the forest camp. He would also earn a certificate on environmental studies at the biology school of Lambridge. At the forest camp, Zizzy, Zuzi, and Z would stay here, and Zuzi would see something outside their cabin. Zuzi recognized it from a story Zizzy would tell to get Zuzi and Z to sleep early, but Zuzi believed this to be true. She then wakes up Z to get her to help look for him. While out looking, the twins get separated, and Z has some form of contact with Tio, where he learns of her quietness. In Doveport, Kona accidentally digs into an old tomb and questions whether or not the people constructing the port knew it was there. The dig site is most likely put under control of whoever owns the port, seeing as it is theirs. Kona would then go back to his place where Roby prototype is. As for the tomb, it would be inspected to find Insolent's eyes and named caskets of King Milo, Queen Viola, and another unnamed. The tomb would be resealed after the inspection to preserve it after Kona dug into it. Kona, let's hope you don't do that again. Shortly after, Eddie anonymously receives a crystal and images of the Insolent's Eye in the South Ruins. At first, Eddie believes that the South Ruin eyes and the crystal were unrelated, but he makes the connection that strange events happen when he is near either the crystal or images of the eyes. Looking at the images make Eddie hear voices telling him to go south. Eddie has never experienced anything like this and fears for what will happen. In the time where Eddie has his mansion, the same mansion Ellie grew up in, a story would float around sparking the interest of Zuzi. Look away, I approach. Now look again, I encroach. Be wary of what you see, for my smile may cause you to flee. Arrive during the full moon, and I will see you soon. Zuzi decides to see if the story is real and drags her sister Z along even though Z is against this. Zuzi and Z climb over the wall, after which Zuzi exclaims, "Time to see what secrets this place hides. What could go wrong?" Zuzi and Z would then collect books to open a secret passageway into the cellar area while being chased by a two-faced robot. After finding two wires both outside where a toy train can be seen and in a room with a strange painting, they restore power to the mansion, and Zuzi decides that they have seen enough and should leave. They would then find a remote upstairs that would deactivate a runaway toy train in the backyard and get a key to the kitchen. They would continue by finding keys to Ellie's room, the cellar portrait room, and paint the canvases in the room the correct colors to collect the gate key and get out. Zuzi would run out of the mansion looking behind her and ran straight into Zuzi, who has been looking for them. Zuzi warns Zizzy that there's a robot in the mansion and says not to go in. Zizzy questions what they were doing in the mansion, and Zuzi immediately blames Z. Zizzy doubts this, but Zuzi screams as Eddie walks up to the three zebras and begs him not to turn them into toys. Eddie is very confused by the screaming zebra, and Zizzy apologizes for Zuzi and Z's trespassing. Zuzi's scream apologizes and continues to blame Z while she is shaking her head. Eddie tells the twins he hopes they learned their lesson and says to stop sneaking into houses. Zuzi acknowledges and Eddie says to get lost, after which Zuzi asks where Pony is, as he was supposed to be watching over Zuzi and Z. He then springs from a nearby bush claiming he found candy. "You had one job, Pony." Disappointed, Zizzy says she should keep an eye on all of them more carefully. She then asks Zuzi and Z if they would like to go trick-or-treating. The three zebras then leave without Pony, who is stuck in the bush. Shortly afterward, Eddie opens his secret room in the cellar filled with all his research in it. He then calls someone named Finley, saying he needs help investigating something. He also adds that he feels something big is going to happen. Soon after, Finley would arrive at Doveport and begin his inspection along with his crew, though they hate being called it. He logs that two of his exploration crew that he sent down have not returned. In fear that the two lost crew have found something and intend to keep it for themselves, he decides to go down himself with the rest of his crew. As Finley and his crew venture deeper into the temple, they make their way into a strange maze-like room. Finley wonders what it was used for, but doesn't stay long to find out. Finley orders the expedition onward, but this is the last thing he will do as the temple caves in on itself, and the crew are trapped in the temple, never to be heard from again. Back at the alley, Kitty, who was a chef for the crime group, decided to make a living by starting a cooking business at the Lucella City Mall. Billy also plans on traveling to see the world after success with the crime group. Nearby, Officer Pulley is sent to guard a storage building that has something of value in it. What Pulley doesn't know is that he will soon be losing his marbles. After Willow mentions to the group that William isn't doing well, Billy suggests that they steal something to cheer him up. Pony is against this, saying that they should buy something, but Willow reminds him that they are broke. So the group continues on to find something for William. Willow is still so saddened by Daisy leaving that she doesn't want to go into her TV store to look for something for William. The group continue on, breaking into the nearby hotel and the storage building behind it. Willow finds the pie that she assumes will make William happy, only to realize that he is gone, leaving only his scarf. Willow has now lost 4 people she cared about. Following the theft of the pie, Detective, because I'm not saying player 10,000 times, figures out that the food thief Willow is in the alley behind the restaurant. They notify Officer Doggy of their finding and go to the alley to find and arrest Willow. Detective moves deeper into the alley while Doggy guards the exit. Detective encounters Rash but avoids him because he has a crowbar and begins to chase Detective. Now looking for something to help, Detective grabs a key that goes to a nearby storage room containing scissors and a battery. Detective then uses the scissors to cut the police tape to the hotel that was previously broken into. They grab a mop and a key to Daisy's TV store, unlocking it and making a note of a number on the wall. They also grab a key to Leo's laundromat storage room. In the laundromat, Detective grabs a key to a building in the back of the alley. Rash follows Detective, trapping them inside the building, but Detective uses the mop to make a path through some liquid on the floor to get to the back of the building and crawl through a hole to escape Rash while noting a second number. Afterwards, Detective enters a nearby building where they find a key to a safe. Detective finds a screwdriver in the safe but goes to Doggy for help as Detective has been chased for some time. Doggy takes the battery from Detective to stun Rash, and the two go to a door that has been sealed with a screw. Detective opens the room, finding a third number while grabbing another safe key in the process. They find a door locked by a code, but Detective unlocks it, remembering the numbers they saw. After the door opens, a startled Willow makes her way to the back of the long hallway while dodging obstacles and into a ceiling vent. Detective bypasses the obstacles and unscrews a screw to the door in the back, but is still locked. Detective then goes to the first room they went in and unlocked the safe there to get the key. That key would then open the door at the end of the hallway. After the door is opened, Detective and Doggy storm into the room and confront Willow. Doggy tells her she is under arrest for stealing goods, but Willow responds she is only trying to feed her family. Detective says she knows the law and that they are sorry. Rash comes to the front of the room ready to attack, but Willow tells him to stand down, saying it's not worth it. Rash questions why, saying they will take them away. Doggy responds saying that they would rather do that than to put them down. After hearing this, Rash surrenders, declaring they haven't seen the last of them. Willow is taken to Lucella Station and Rash taken somewhere else, but Detective doesn't feel alright with what happened. Doggy understands but reminds Detective it's the way things have to be. Detective questions if anything can be done, but Doggy tells them everyone has a role to play and that they do things because they have to, not because they want to. Doggy then turns to leave while Detective stands there thinking, and asks if Detective is going to leave also. Detective does, and the two return to the station, where shortly after Doggy will write a note to the chief of the station regarding Detective's work, saying they deserve a promotion. In a battlefield with an unknown location, Sergeant Monroe and the troops under his command surround a compound. Sergeant Monroe plans on sending 2 of his best soldiers, Tigray and Danny, to surprise the unsuspecting compound, unaware that the compound has no soldiers in it. The soldiers that were there left some of their last notes before, well, only Manitou knows what happened. Danny is worried about Tigray, saying he looks nervous. Tigray responds saying they all feel that way. Sergeant Monroe shouts at them to prepare to charge the compound, and they prepare for the signal. The signal is given with Tigray and Danny proceeding out of a trench near the compound and make their way to the door in front of them. Tigray reaches the door first, but the ground gives way beneath him. He falls into a pitch-black hallway but is unscathed, reaching for his flashlight to continue on. Danny hollers from above that he will find another way in. Tigray acknowledges but seems to have misplaced his weapons, and he continues deeper into the compound. He rounds a corner and comes to an intersection where he thinks he saw a shadowy figure pass by. He goes right, away from where the creature went, finding a wire to potentially restore power and a soldier's helmet on the floor. He continues forward past a landing leading downstairs and enters the storage room. He finds a power switch to the room and turns it on. Unfortunately, nothing happens and Tiger grabs another wire in the storage room as he goes to find a fuse box to get the power on. Exiting the room, he sees a black creature with glowing white details and the creature begins to chase him. Frightened and confused as to what the creature is, Tiger sprints forward and rounds a corner to his right and heads down into a tank depot. Tiger no longer hears the creature and grabs another wire before heading back up. He wanders into a map room with a layout of the compound. After memorizing the map, Tiger heads to the landing and downstairs. Before heading down, he begins to hallucinate and he finds himself in his old home. Tiger tries the door to get out, but it is locked. Unfortunately, another black creature, this time with red glowing details, is patrolling the hallways. Tiger sneaks past the red creature and gets the key to the door, escaping his hallucination. He goes downstairs and finds a fourth wire and wanders into a barracks across the hallway and hallucinates yet again, this time in his old classroom. He remarks that he did not miss it and attempts to open the door across the room, but the door is locked and Tiger has to rearrange the desks while avoiding dark hands that come out of the floor. The door opens and Tiger escapes his second hallucination. He goes out of the barracks and finds the fuse box with missing wires. He connects the wires he found and restores the compound's power, opening a large door in front of him. He goes through and up a ramp where he finds a large room with a concrete structure in the middle. Tiger goes in and had yet another hallucination. This hallucination was a dark room with a checkerboard floor that turns out to be a maze. Tiger has never been here but navigates his way through, constantly turning around and being chased by a strange black hand. He makes it out of the maze and into a carnival cage, remembering his family could never afford to go to the carnival. He escapes his third hallucination and goes up the structure and out the door and into a trench. Here, Tiger has his fourth and final hallucination in his boot camp military training course. He completes the course with ease and escapes the hallucination. Tiger continues down the trench, but the creature he first saw was behind him. Tiger runs out of the trench and onto a catwalk overlooking the large room with the creature close behind him. He navigates through the halls and finds a room containing a military-issued knife. Tiger takes the knife and turns to find the creature who he had lost in the chase. Tiger, with his knife, no longer fearing the creature, sets out to find it. He rounds a corner, sees the creature, and stabs it. But Tiger is horrified after looking at a now bleeding and dying Danny. Tiger drops the knife, terrified at what he did and extremely confused as to why Danny was the one he stabbed. He then deserts the military and travels in an unknown way to the alley where he hides from the military. Back at Lucella City, Mr. P is offered a deal by Tio. In exchange for saving his wife, Mr. P would add an additional ingredient to the cure, an ingredient called Substance 128. Mr. P would accept the deal, not knowing what he did. Tio continued his plans, even manipulating Mr. P after he had done what Tio asked. Mr. P even went as far as to suggest to his doctors that the cure could be given early. His doctors were heavily against this, however, saying the cure sample was unstable. Mr. P ignored them and wanted volunteers to test the supposed cure. The sample was enough to fill 4 potion bottles. The Piggy family, consisting of Penny, mother, and father, volunteered for the cure. Almost immediately, the Piggy family was seen to be stronger than previously. So much so that an eager Mr. P gave the fourth potion bottle to his wife, Mrs. P. With similar results, Mrs. P became stronger and began to recover from leukemia. When the Piggy family got back to their house, Georgie became skeptical after seeing his family act strange, then aggressive. Scared and confused, Georgie ran away from his home in search of his grandma at Lucilla City. After Mr. P learned of the news from the Piggy family, he assumed it had nothing to do with the cure. He was wrong. Like the Piggy family, Mrs. P also became aggressive. Mr. P had a chance to stop Mrs. P, but didn't. He had already done so much to help her. Though Mrs. P was now infected, Mr. P did not know what to do. So he let her go. Mr. P had no idea what he had unleashed. Shortly after Georgie ran from his home, a missing persons report was created and would reach Lucilla City, where Georgie's grandmother would learn of her grandson's disappearance. Detective received the report and was now on the case and went alone to the last place Georgie was seen, the Piggy residence. As they arrived at the house, they got out of the car and made sure that they were at the right place. But before proceeding to the front, they heard a sound which stopped them. Penny, who was now fully infected, snuck up behind Detective with a bat, and the infection has begun. Penny dragged the now unconscious Detective into her house and locked it up for a few days. Detective was not infected, however, which has Tio curious, though he does nothing. For now, anyway. With Mrs. P now on the loose, Lucilla City turned into chaos as Mrs. P attacked civilian after civilian. The infection spread rapidly, infecting Ellie, Georgie's grandma, and Pony's father in the process. Pony was able to escape the horde of infected and took shelter in a nearby forest. The mall security bot Robbie was quickly made ready for combat as the growing number of infected became a larger and larger problem. Mousy, who was in the mall at the time, attempted to escape the onslaught of infected and Robbie, but was infected shortly before hiding in the mall vents. Lucilla City had fallen, and the infection spreading rapidly. In the chaos that ensued around Lucilla City, Rash was able to get out and fled to the alley, where he found Tigry. Rash would befriend Tigry and explain what was happening and that they should prepare for the infection coming their way. Tigry looked to Rash like a true friend as no one had ever helped him before. Father would arrive at the alley and begin infecting civilians on the street and in buildings surrounding the alley. Tigry and Rash occupy a long hallway before Rash was unfortunately infected. Rather than leave him, Tigry took him to the farthest room down the hall and boarded it up, ensuring none could find him or that Rash could infect anyone else. Tigry then set up a place he could stay in the alley with whatever he could find. Fortunately, the infected did not go into the alley anymore. Mother arrived at Lucella Station where she was able to infect Polly and other officers and potentially prisoners. Some decided to hide while others fled. Before the officers left or were infected, Doggy was notified on his day off that something happened at the station. One officer expressed concern for Detective as they haven't been heard from. A now infected Polly walked by Willow's cell and dropped a key to her cell. She was able to get out and return to the alley to get anything she could find. Willow went to a long hallway where she found Rash, now infected, but safe behind a barricade. She left Rash and returned to her old room she considered a home with a lit torch, looking at it for one last time before taking Daisy's note and dropping the torch and committing arson. She continued along the alleys and found Tigry by a makeshift fire. Cold and scared, Tigry was fearful of Willow as she put down her backpack and took something out. Tigry covered his face in fear of what was going to happen, but Willow assured him she was not going to hurt him and offered a scarf she had taken out of her pack. After the chaos surrounding the station, Sheepy is attacked at the forest while in the presence of Bunny. Bunny is forced to flee to safety as Sheepy is infected and makes her way towards the gallery. Georgie entered Lucella City in search of his grandma but found out that the city was no longer safe. He quickly made his way to the mall guarded by a now slightly damaged Robbie where he found an isolated room he could hide in. Back at the Piggy residence, Detective wakes up in an upstairs bedroom and realizes they need to get out, being chased by Penny while grabbing keys to unlock a ground floor storage room, an upstairs storage room, and backyard shed housing the Wells gearbox. Detective would then grab the wrench in the shed and use the wrench on the locked front door. They found a plank in the bathroom of all places and used it to get to the other side on the top floor, used the wrench on the right side room to deactivate the laser gate, and grabbed the key to the basement garage? Who built this house? Anyway, Detective would then grab both the hammer in the garage storage room along with the safe key. They would use the safe key in the basement to get the front door access code and knock off boards to the front door. Curious to where the front door key is, Detective would look down the well and found the key, but it would be too far down to grab. After which they would grab a red gear from the living room, break a blocked off vent in the basement, grab the green gear and use them on the well's gearbox to activate it, bringing the well's bucket upward. Detective would then grab the key and get out of the house, leaving all their tools behind, which makes sense if they won't use them again. Hopefully that won't happen. Detective questions what just happened and why Penny was attacking them. Detective then decided to get back to the station to get help from other officers. Shortly after, Doggy arrived at the station but was surprised to see that the other officers left already and that Mother was patrolling the halls. He then barricaded himself in the garage to avoid getting attacked. Detective pulled up to the station and walked through the front door, surprised that no one was there. They shouted asking if anyone was there and was greeted by Doggy on the intercom, warning them about infected in the station. Shocked that there is another infected, Detective would collect keys to the officer's room and sewer room. They grab a hammer from the officer's room, break off the boards to the garage door, and break a board off the cell to get a key to the courtyard. They then find a battery and a key to a safe located in the officer's room and unlock the garage door with a key inside the safe. They then find a plank that they use to get across the very questionable sewage in another room. They then grab a key on the other side and open a cell block storage room. Detective grabs a wrench and uses it to deactivate the laser gate to the conference room to collect a battery and on the garage door. Detective finds Doggy but is told to go find gas so they can get out with the car Doggy is sitting in. Detective runs back to the courtyard and plugs 2 batteries to the container to get gas. Don't ask why gas is out here, I have no idea. Detective fills the car and the 2 take off with Mother following them. Doggy says to Detective they were lucky he showed up on his day off, but Detective counters saying Doggy is lucky that it got gas. Doggy acknowledges this and the 2 talk about what to do after the infection started. Doggy suggests they find what started this and asks if Detective still has his skills as a detective. Detective responds that they hope so, now more than ever. Doggy then asks how much gas was in the jerry can. Well, after running out of gas...
You see, guys, your friend.
Friend? Uh-oh.
After running out of gas and getting surrounded by Mother, Father, and Sheepy, the detective and Doggy rush into the nearby gallery building intended to escape through the back door, but they unfortunately followed in by the father. The detective grabs a key in the dino skeleton room and makes their way upstairs and opens a storage room where they grab another key in the room in the back of the building where they grab a wrench and 2 keys, one of which was from a nearby room. Cornered by Father, Detective is forced to drop down a vent to escape Father. They use the wrench to disable the nearby laser gate that has an egg on the other side and power the back door shortly after. They then use the other key to unlock an egg room where they placed the egg they found earlier. They then unlock the garage and find the other egg, which they place with the other eggs, break a glass portrait to get to the back door key. What? Anyway, they look for something to break boards on the back door and find a plank which they use to get across the gap to get a hammer. They then break the boards and get out of the gallery with Doggy. Detective and Doggy catch their breath in the alley, and the detective questions why the infected don't stop chasing them. Doggy responds saying that he doesn't understand either, but they have been through worse, remembering the arrest they made on Willow and Rash a while back. Detective reminds him that they aren't arresting the infected, and that all they do is attack. Doggy remarks how good a person Detective is. Even in desperate times, they held on to their morality. He reminds Detective that those kinds of people succeed, and they don't stop being that person. Detective agrees on his statement, and Doggy decides that they should find a safer place. Detective agrees, and the two make their way out of the alley.
Hey Ed, I got you your friend back. You can go play with them.
Oh, oh no, 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 stop it, stop it!
Anyway, more places are turned into infected playgrounds, including the carnival, where Colony is infected, store, where Dessa is infected, and Metro, where this thing. You get the point. As the infected began to pour into the sewers below, workers in the sewers fought off the many infected that came in. At some point, Tio began to influence some of the workers. One worker began to fear Tio as he tried to take control of the worker. Another realized that there are too many infected, and with the workers beginning to falter, they ordered the sewers be flooded in an attempt to keep the infected from reaching the factory above. A third worker, possibly Coley, decided to devote themselves to Tio and remain down in the sewers as it began to flood. The flood was successful in that the sewers under the factory were safe, with the exception of Alphys. Willow and Tigray traveled to a forest where they found Pony holding a picture of Zizzy. Willow asked Pony if he would join them, and he agreed. The new group formed would be called the Silver Paw, or TSP for short. The group was gaining members including Pandy, Katie, and Philip. The group took up residence in the now abandoned factory. Willow would go out and recruit more members, this being Baron, Kitty, Felix, and Foxy. Tigray would be part of this group but was not treated well. Foxy, on the other hand, was well liked by the members. The second group would take over a rundown refinery. Someone who was already hiding in the refinery saw the group coming and decided to hide, fearing them more than the infected. Who this was and what happened to them is unknown. The refinery would then be renamed to Settlement 6. Somehow they got Pulley and brought him into Settlement 6, and I don't know how, and I don't really care. Sometime after escaping from the gallery, Detective and Doggy set up camp in an abandoned forest camp, where they stayed for a few weeks. The infected have made their way to a military outpost where a hidden plant is located, along with soldiers stationed there. They issue a statewide evacuation order, though some of the soldiers are ordered to stay behind and defend the outpost. They begin to get infected and call for backup, but it is far too late. One soldier makes a message on a chalkboard, perhaps as a last effort before losing all control, and leave behind a message on what happened to them and how they are now. Backup arrives at the outpost in the form of torture. They are able to burn many of the infected, but are quickly surrounded and infected themselves. Over at Doveport, Marcus wanders in looking for an adventure, but is surrounded by multiple dark creatures. Wanting to leave, Tio offers Marcus a way out, one that Marcus would regret taking. On Lucella's side of the sea, the infection makes its way to the port and the town close by. It would begin at a blue apartment building in the upper floor as an infected occupant slowly lost control and infected the town. Someone decided to barricade the top floor of a diner, finding safety. The lighthouse keeper made the difficult decision to lock the lighthouse from the inside, listening to the screaming civilians. The keeper would hold on for a few days with food and power running low. The keeper would eventually give in and free their burdens of being alone and join the infected horde. With the fall of the outpost, the infection spread across the North Sea, causing the military to create bases to counter the infected, abandoning the Lucella side of the North Sea. At the factory, TSP members began to sneak into the sewers below to hang out, but quickly found Alphys, who possibly infected some members, causing them to be relocated. Now that Lucella has died down, a group consisting of Zizzy, Zuzi, Z, Giraffe, and Mimi, who who is a friend of Kona's, made their way to the heart of Lucella where they take over a large multi-story building and create a wall for safety. Giraffe then sets up a garden where the group can stockpile food. At the hospital, Mr. P attempts to create another cure while being influenced by Tio. He, and what is left of the research team, are able to make a cure big enough for 3 potions. The researchers think the potions are the cure for the infection, but Tio has other ideas. A TSP group consisting of Willow, Pony, Pandy, Philip, and Katie go out to Lucelle City and search for what I presume is the cause of the infection and supplies. They learn that Mr. P is responsible for the infection and that the hospital has the supplies they need. The group raided the hospital with Mr. P and staff offering no resistance, seeing as TSP brought weapons. They gathered the supplies they needed along with the 5th potion and left. They continued to loot places, including the store, which is right next to an underground metro station near the hospital, before returning to the factory. At the forest, Detective and Doggy get back from a possible supply run, and Detective talks about how familiar the infected were and questions if they were friends. Doggy ignores this, saying it's getting very late and they should go to sleep. Willow was able to follow them back to the forest, dragging Pony along with the potion. Willow instructs Pony to give the potion to Doggy, which he did. Doggy then wakes up and chases both Pony and Willow away before becoming infected, all while Detective is asleep. Mr. P convinces Bunny to go look for survivors, but really he wants to go look for Mrs. P. They take the 6th potion and travel to the forest where they were chased by their former researcher member, Sheepy. While running away, Bunny drops her radio as they make their way to the school, leaving Sheepy at the forest. At the school, Teacher, who has made the building her home, lets them in. At some point, Mr. P and Bunny separate and Mr. P gives Teacher the 6th potion, possibly under Tio's influence. Mr. P then flees to the school sewers while Teacher becomes infected. Bunny finds out the hard way and locks herself in a hidden security room. Teacher would then write an encrypted message on a chalkboard about what she is experiencing. Detective then wakes up by a campfire and an empty bottle and wonders where Doggy is, as he is nowhere to be seen. Detective wanders around and finds a now infected Doggy. Detective is very confused and wonders what happened. Doggy doesn't chase Detective, though, for unknown reasons. Detective doesn't want to take any chances, however, and keeps their distance. Unfortunately, Sheepy made her way into the forest and Detective has to get out. This is made difficult, however, as Detective and Doggy did a way too good of a job securing the forest. Detective picks up keys to unlock multiple cabins along with a hammer, plank, a generator key, and a safe key. Detective uses the plank to get into the large tower where they then open a safe to get a wrench and a key to access the tent next to it. They open up the tent gate and grab an unlit torch. They then unlock a generator gate, activate it, then break boards off the exit and on a cave as well as activating another generator. They then light the torch with a campfire and melt an ice cube in the cave containing the exit key. They grab the key and activate the last generator located in a nearby cabin and get out. Detective then hears the sound of a nearby radio with Mr. P on the other side asking if anyone was there. Detective picks it up and Mr. P introduces himself and tells Detective to rescue Bunny from the school. Detective travels to the front of the school and enters. Detective finds out Mr. P forgot to mention Teacher and has to avoid her. Detective makes their way to an office room where they grab a key to the cafe and then grab a key to a nearby classroom. Detective unlocks the classroom and grabs a wrench. They make their way towards an open classroom where they find an empty potion bottle and a book. They then make their way through a hall and grab another key to a nearby classroom where they find a red gear. They then head upstairs and place the book on a bookshelf and open the hidden security room, releasing Bunny. She thanks Detective and introduces herself, then advises they should leave. Grabbing a green gear in the security room, they make their way to the sewer stairs and drain the water. Detective powers on the door and grabs a locker key from a nearby room. The two then make their way back up to find something to break the boards on the sewer door and find the key to the same door. Detective disables a laser gate to the gym. Why is there a deadly laser at a school? Moving on. They find the key to the sewer door and make their way upstairs to unlock a locker and take the hammer inside. They then make their way to the sewer and open the door to find Mr. P. Mr. P congratulates Bunny and Detective for making it out, but Detective suddenly falls ill and passes out. Mr. P and Bunny carry Detective through the sewers and they make their way to the hospital and put Detective on a stretcher where Bunny escorts them to be helped by people in the hospital while Detective hallucinates Doggy. Detective remains unconscious for a few days with Mr. P, Bunny, and others looking after them. The researchers do some tests on Detective and found out that they had traces of the infection in them. Meanwhile, Willow and Pony return to the factory, but Pony feels extremely guilty about what he did. Willow tells the members at the factory about what happened at the forest, then leaves the factory and goes to the refinery to relay the same message. Looking at Zizzy's picture, Pony realizes that this is not what he wanted and desires to be reunited with Zizzy, which catches the attention of Tio. He offers Pony a chance to see his family again, but Pony refuses. Pony wreaks havoc on the factory, causing damage to its surrounding buildings and casualties to TSP. Some of the members saw Pony walking away with what we can only assume is something resembling Tio as he kept trying to influence Pony. Pony returns to the safe place in Lucella City where he reunites with Zizzy. He then tells Zizzy about TSP and Willow. Willow arrives at the refinery and tells the members there what happened at the forest. A few of the members, including Foxy, did not like what they just heard, calling the members that did support Willow's decision to basically murder Doggy maniacs. This small group left under Foxy's leadership, taking the members away just as Doggy took Willow away from her family. Willow gets wind of this and goes after Foxy herself, with possibly other members loyal to her. Foxy's group flees to the carnival where they find Clowny. The group are able to blow a hole in the back of a small room to get out, but Foxy takes a direct blow to the head from Clowny's hammer, causing him to go unconscious with a concussion and memory loss. The other members looking to escape TSP decide to leave Foxy behind, believing him to be infected. Willow catches up to Foxy in the carnival and finds him unconscious but alive. With hatred as much as she hated Doggy, she locks him up in a cage, calling him a monster. She also finds the key to a small building and locks it, throwing the key in with Foxy, ensuring that if someone is trying to free Foxy, they would have a lot harder time getting out. Foxy wakes up just as Willow's group are ready to leave and questions why they would lock him up, not remembering what he just did hours ago. He would be infected shortly after. Willow would then return to the factory where she learned of what Pony did to the group. Back at the hospital, it is unfortunately attacked by infected. Barry and Bunny are attacked, but Barry was attacked more severely. Mr. P gives Bunny the seventh and last potion he would give. Mr. P tells Bunny they will be ready to leave on a helicopter from the roof, but he quickly realizes that he had made a big mistake and that Bunny is now a ticking time bomb. Mr. P takes the rest of his research team, which is pretty much just Badgie at this point, into the helicopter and leaves, writing one last note to Bunny while she is watching over Detective. Detective finally wakes up, but Bunny says it's no longer safe at the hospital. Detective asks how long they were out, but she doesn't respond, instead saying Mr. P was waiting for them on the roof. Detective finds out that Barry is now on the loose and has to get out quickly. They grab a keycard to access the far staircase to go up along with a hammer. They get another 2 cards from the cafe and unlock the other side of the hospital along with unlocking the security room where they grab a plank and an empty flask. Detective places the plank to gain access to the roof door and breaks off boards to the door but still needs a key. They go around the top floor breaking open a boarded off room where they grab another card which they use to unlock the front check-in desk where they grab another empty flask. They then fill up the flasks with a pink and green liquid before using them to open a pressure-sensitive safe containing the key to the roof door. They get to the roof only to find that Mr. P had already left. Both of them are shocked, but Bunny eventually says they should find another way out. Detective agrees and turns to walk towards the door. Bunny finds the note that Mr. P left and stands still for a moment. Detective asks if Bunny is going with, and she replies that she will. Detective and Bunny make their way down to the. Wait, what are you doing?
Detective and Bunny make their way down to the metro, but Bunny says she needs rest. Detective assures that everything will be fine and that they will escape. Detective then leaves Bunny as they go to find a way to repair a train stopped there. While being chased by a green, rotten infected, Detective grabs keys to a room near the train and downstairs file room. The downstairs file room contains another key and a coin. The room near the train contains a hammer to which Detective removes the boards on the train door along with the boarded up downstairs which the wrench in it. Detective uses the wrench to power on the train, but still needs a key to open the train door. Detective uses the key they found earlier to open up a locked hallway and finds a key to a safe. In the safe is yet another key. This key goes to another downstairs file room containing another coin. Detective finds the train key, but is blocked by a toll pole which he can't jump over or crawl under. Anyway, Detective finds the keycard needed to raise the pole in a vending machine that costs 2 coins. They insert the coin to get the card, raise the pole, grab the key, and open the door. Detective excitedly tells Bunny the train is working, but she doesn't respond, worried for their friend. Detective asks if she's okay. Bunny then tells Detective that Mr. P gave her a potion that she drank but didn't know she would turn into an infected. Detective still encourages her to go with them to find Mr. P, but Bunny says they need to leave without her. Detective attempts to convince her again, but it is immediately shut down, and Bunny says she will fight off the infected for as long as possible, realizing there is no point in convincing her to go with. Detective bids Bunny farewell. Bunny wishes them good luck, and Detective starts the train and takes off.
Hey, this is my video. Get off.
Whatever.
Bunny wakes up sometime later to laughter, thinking it was her sister Bonnet. She grabs her crossbow and heads in the direction Detective went, but it is blocked off. She turns around and makes her way deeper into the metro while the infection is slowly distorting her mind, and she sees a laughing shadow run into a door on her left. Curious, Bunny follows the shadow and finds a locked door. Looking through some lockers, she finds a key and continues into a station. She finds a screwdriver in a nearby room and makes her way up, finding an infected. She shoots it and continues up, but needs a ticket to get through a gate. She turns back and breaks into some rooms until she finds a ticket. She continues on, shooting another infected and follows another laughing shadow into a storage room. She goes through a door, and at the end of the room is that of a hospital where she sees shadows of Mr. P and Sheepy. The illusion ends, and Bunny continues into another storage room where she grabs a plank outside of it, shoots another infected, and places the plank to get to the other side of the metro platform. She shoots another infected outside the bathrooms and finds a key to the employee's room and grabs a shovel. She jumps down on the tracks and clears a dirt pile and continues down it, entering a large area with a catwalk above. She goes up nearby stairs with a minor delay and attempts to get to the other side, but the catwalk is gone. She gets on a fan blade to the opposite catwalk and enters a room to find a fan blade, attaches it to a fan, and gets to the original catwalk. She gets a maintenance key and makes her way back down, bang, and opens the maintenance tunnel. She makes her way through and gets an axe, but needs to shut off valves of steam to continue further. She does and follows another shadow into a room and hallucinates seeing 2 shadows arguing. The illusion ends and Bunny continues into an air duct and makes her way through a series of fans, using the axe to stop one of them. She then enters a tall room, bang, and finds a weak patch on the floor. She finds a lever in a locker and a burlap sack in a nearby room and sets up a crane system above to try and break the floor patch. The patch breaks, revealing a vent shaft that leads into a metro track. She gets down and is immediately forced to run left as a distorted, monstrous rabbit emerges through the wall and begins to chase Bunny. Bunny makes her way through and shoots a lock on her left, entering it, and is immediately taken on a trip through memory lane. She falls into darkness after the memories and wakes up outside. She gets up and hollers if anyone is there, only to realize she is surrounded by infected and misplaced her crossbow. With no other choice, she readies herself, but the infected are taken out by someone with a flame. That someone was Sheepy, and she was shocked to see Bunny. Bunny rushes forward and gives Sheepy a hug, saying she thought Sheepy was gone. Sheepy tries to give Bunny a hug, but doesn't, saying she missed Bunny too. Bunny backs up confused, stating she saw Sheepy attacked in the forest, curious how Sheepy is here. Sheepy says she will tell her, but first they should leave. Sheepy gestures for Bunny to follow, but Bunny is concerned for her sisters. Sheepy assures Bunny that if they learned anything from Bunny, they will be fine. Bunny thinks about this, then agrees. Sheepy offers Bunny her hand, saying they are waiting for her. Bunny takes it and the two walk along a dirt path through a forest together, reunited as infected. At the city, Zizzy and Pony leave the safe place and go to look for more survivors, making their way to the carnival. Angry and determined to find Mr. P, Detective stops the train at a station near his carnival and makes their way inside, assuming that Mr. P is here. They set off to find him but found Clowny instead, running for their life once again. Detective grabs 2 keys from benches around the carnival and uses one to unlock a storage shed where they grab both a key to the circus tent and a plank. They open the tent gate and place the plank to get to the floating platform where they grab a wrench that's resting on it. They power up a door to a small building, believing Mr. P to be there. They then open a gate to the coaster, and Detective uses the wrench to power up the coaster so that it is no longer blocking the path to a water gun and a key to the cage. They then use the water gun at the carnival game to win a code to activate the small building door. And why? Why are you playing games? The code is right there. I mean, you did just lose another friend and you need to take your mind off it, but still, no one will stop you. Well, maybe Clowny. Anyway, they make their way to the Ferris wheel where they grab another safe key. They then make their way to a small mirror room where they unlock the safe and take a mallet, which they use to break open a mallet hitter game where they get a hammer. Detective then breaks the boards off the door and goes to open the cage, only to find Foxy, though he doesn't attack Detective. Detective sneaks by and grabs the key to open the door. Detective barges into the door ready to confront Mr. P, only to find Pony and Zizzy. Pony's shocked to see Detective but doesn't say it, instead questioning if Detective was infected. Zizzy reminds him that infected don't talk, with Pony replying that he knew that. Zizzy then introduces them to Detective. Detective does the same and questions why they are there. Zizzy responds that they are looking for survivors and that they have a safe place. Foxy is then drawn to the noise, then appears behind Detective, which Pony thinks is his friends. Zizzy immediately realizes that is an infected and Pony quickly stuns Foxy. Detective thanks Pony and Zizzy suggests that they head back to their place as the carnival is too dangerous. As Georgie sleeps in the mall, Tio decides to manipulate him in his dreams. In Georgie's dream, he is in his old home, but it's not quite right. He starts his dream off by waking up from a nightmare. He then asks if Penny is awake, but gets no reply. He goes out of his room to look for Penny, but finds a colorless pig with a bat in his house. He makes his way downstairs to get a key to unlock the shed in his backyard. In it, he grabs a key to a ground floor storage room and a hammer. He makes his way to the storage room and gets a key to a cell door from it. He then opens the cell door, which holds a safe and a wrench. He grabs the wrench along with the key nearby. They power up the door along with breaking the boards and disable a laser gate which had a toy dino and a safe key in it. He uses the key to unlock the safe and take a code to the door. He would then use another key to unlock the downstairs basement where he grabs a plank and breaks open a boarded off crawl space leading into another cell. He grabs the toy robot inside and rushes upstairs to place the plank to get across a gap to a strange altar. He places the 2 toys he had on the altar, which gave him the key to the front door. After getting out, Georgie finds Penny. She doesn't respond, however, and Georgie asks if she is okay. Penny still doesn't respond and walks away into a black mist. Georgie hollers for her to come back, but suddenly falls ill. His eyes begin turning red and he wants it to stop but can't do anything about it. He then wakes up in the mall breathing heavily. He then decides to get out of the mall. Detective Zizzy and Pony get to a high building overlooking Lucella City. Pony then points where the safe place is, and Zizzy says the other people there will be surprised to see another survivor. Unfortunately, the gate is fortified and they have to find items around the city to disable the security. The city still has infected as Ellie and Grandma chase the group. Zizzy fights off Ellie while Grandma is too slow to do anything, so Pony just waits by the gate. Nice. Detective runs along the corridor between the two center buildings and grabs a keycard. They then enter the hotel building and unlock the pool room to get another card. They make their way upstairs to the second floor to open a room where they find a wrench. They use the wrench to power up the gate, then enter Ellie's business building where they find another card along with a safe key and plank from the back part of an upstairs room. They then make their way down to a room that had a safe where they open it to find a carrot. They then make their way back to the hotel and give Pony the carrot so he has enough strength to break a wood board on the gate. Detective continues to the hotel and up to the third floor and opens a rather poorly maintained room that had yet another card in it. Detective then goes back to the business building up the stairs to open the door and get TNT and blows up Grandma's poutine shop. Blow open the door to get a fire extinguisher. Moving on, Detective puts out the fire by the gate and goes up the hotel stairs again to the roof, where they put down a plank to get to the roof of the business building, where they put out a fire to get access to the code for the gate. They then get down and find a picture of Mrs. P under a car and take it with them. They then open the gate with Zizzy and Pony following. Zizzy asks Detective what they did before the infection started. Detective responds they were a police officer looking for someone, then asks Zizzy and Pony the same thing. Pony says he was trying to become an optometrist like his father, and Zizzy was a fencing coach who also taught her sisters. She also expresses how relieved she is that they are safe. Pony feels the same, but Zizzy asks Detective how they got to the carnival and mentioned Mr. P. Detective explains that Mr. P was giving out potions that turned people into infected and that they needed to stop him. Zizzy suggests that Detective stays with them for a bit, but is interrupted by Georgie, who fell from behind a dumpster, though Detective, Zizzy, and Pony don't know that. Pony questions what that was, and Detective responds that they think someone is watching them and goes to check it out, followed by Zizzy. Pony decides to stay at the safe place and wishes them luck. Mr. P's helicopter lands at the outpost, and Mr. P and the research team quickly make their way into the underground plant. Some researchers thought it was a good place to continue research as the plant has some ingredients to the cure. The research team helped armor up Mr. P into a cyborg to defend against the infected. Badgie was unfortunately infected when he came into contact with some of Substance 128. With this, the last of the research team are gone and Mr. P is alone, still being manipulated by Tio. Detective and Zizzy pursue Georgie.
Detective and Zizzy pursue Georgie into the mall, and Detective questions why their mysterious figure would hide there. Detective and Zizzy enter the mall and are greeted by a violent, reprogrammed mall robot. While Zizzy fights off the robot, Detective finds a key that goes to a clothing store housing a key to the arcade. Detective opens the door, which they see the exit key and a claw machine requiring 2 coins. They leave, grabbing a key and a plank nearby. Detective places the plank to gain access to an appliance store containing a key to the bank. In the bank is a blocked-off vault, only secured by a laser. The bank also has a safe key, which has a wrench inside. Detective uses the wrench to power off a blocked door on the top floor, where they assume the mysterious figure is. Detective finds a blocked-off area and realizes they need to get in from the vent. They crawl into a nearby vent, where they are surprised to see a legless, infected mouse patrolling the vent. Detective eventually breaks open the vent, covering to the room, and acquire a crowbar and a keycard. They break the boards on the locked door and bust open an ATM with one coin in it. You'd think there's more, but no, just one. Anyway, Detective goes to use the keycard on what looks like a microwave to get a mirror inside. Why is there a mirror in a microwave? Moving on, Detective uses the mirror to disable the laser on the vault to get the other coin. They then use the coins on the claw machine to unlock the door after Zizzy is done turning the robot into scrap metal. Zizzy enters saying the mysterious figure to show themselves, only for Detective to realize it's Georgie. Georgie is frightened that Detective knows his name and asks who he is. Detective says who they are and introduces Zizzy. She asks Detective if they know Georgie, and Detective explains that they have been looking for Georgie and asks why he ran off. Georgie explains that after his family got back from the hospital, they started acting weird and scary. He then says that they went to Lucella City to look for his grandma, but everyone else was scared, so he hid in the mall protected by a psycho robot. Zizzy assures that Georgie will be safe with them, and Georgie asks if he will see his family again. Detective, knowing full well the Piggy family is gone, and that Georgie is now an orphan, tells him that they will find who did this. Detective, Zizzy, and Georgie then head back to the safe place and are greeted by Pony, Susie, and Z. Zizzy introduces Detective and Georgie to the twins, and Susie makes fun of Detective. Pony interrupts, saying they tracked a helicopter nearby, and Detective immediately knows it's Mr. P. He says he needs to go have a chat with them. Yeah, right. Pony and Zizzy agree to go alone, with Susie complaining that they just got back. Zizzy tells that they won't be there for long, and says to take care of Georgie. Detective then encourages Pony and Zizzy to get going.
My apologies for that interruption. Let us continue. Georgie would convince Zuzi and Z to play hide and seek while he snuck out after them. As the group made their way to where the signal came from, they find the military outpost. Pony confirms this is where the signal came from, and Zizzy saying they're going in. They make their way in, and Pony gets a bad feeling. The outpost is swarmed with soldiers and torture. Zizzy takes care of the soldiers with ease, but they all stay away from torture. Detective makes their way to the other side of the outpost and grabs a key from the cafe to gain access to the catwalk, where they grab 2 keys. They then make their way down to ground floor where they unlock a barracks and grab yet another key to the command building. They enter the command building and grab a wrench from a room in the back and a safe key from upstairs. They then open a med bay building with the key they got earlier and open the safe inside to get a fire extinguisher. They put out the fire at the entrance to the plant along with powering the door and make their way back to the catwalk to put out another fire to get gas to fuel a nearby tank to run over a wire fence. They then go back to the cafe, disable the laser gate to the kitchen, and get a tank shell. Why is there a tank shell in the kitchen? Moving on. They put the shell into the tank and blow up a door to a briefing room where they grab a key card to open the plant entrance. Detective says to Zizzy and Pony this is where Mr. P is, and Zizzy questions if they are ready to face what is in there. Suddenly, Georgie appears behind them asking them to wait. Pony was under the impression that Zuzi and Z were supposed to be watching him. Georgie responds that he convinced them to play hide and seek. Detective asks why he followed them, and Georgie responds that he wanted to see who was responsible for infecting his family. Pony notices that Georgie drew a lot of infected soldiers to their position, and Zizzy tells Detective to take Georgie with them into the plant while she and Pony hold off the horde of infected soldiers. Detective tells Georgie to stay close to them and they make their way inside. Pony then tells Zizzy that if they don't make it out, he wanted to tell her something, but Zizzy cuts him off saying she already knows. Detective and Georgie make their way deeper into the plant and find a now cyborg Mr. P standing on a walkway who appears to be talking to himself, saying he has become a disaster along with trying to make things better, but made them worse. Detective then shouts at him they are going to stop him. Mr. P, having been manipulated by Tio, can't believe what he's seeing, believing Detective to be gone. He claims Detective and Georgie aren't real and that his mind is playing tricks on him and the people he let down are haunting him. Georgie asks Detective what Mr. P is talking about, but Mr. P turns around saying they are both dead and continues deeper into the plant. Detective says to Georgie they need to go after him. Mr. P finally stops and confronts Detective and Georgie. He calls them just as stubborn as he was when he tried to save Mrs. P. To stop the same thing from happening to him, he decided to stop Detective and Georgie before that happened and loads his arm cannon. Detective tells Georgie they need to find a way to snap Mr. P out of his trance, but Georgie is occupied fighting Badgie while Detective goes to find something. They take 2 keycards from the opposite side of the large room containing a machine that held 2 liquids on either side of it. They use one of the cards to open a room with 4 structures connected by suspended see-through walkways. 2 of the structures are locked, so Detective looks through the other 2 to find keys to unlock them. They find a key that goes to the lower section of a locked structure where they find the other key along with a battery. They unlock the last structure and take another battery nearby. They use the batteries to open a container holding a purple vial and make their way to the opposite side of the plant and open another door with the second card. They go around a large reactor and into a room where they find a safe key. They then make their way down and open a safe containing a plank that they use to get across a suspicious sewer liquid and grab a hammer. They use the hammer to break a boarded off room with bright green crystals on its stone walls. Detective takes a green vial at the end of the room and makes their way back to the room containing the machine and put the 2 vials on pedestals to open the machine. They take TNT from the opening and place it in the middle of the large room. The shockwave sends Detective, Mr. P, and Badgie into an illusion of a distorted version of the plant with entrances to the cave from the forest, cafe from the school, carnival, and metro. Ghosts of both Doggy and Bunny can be seen throughout the illusion. Mr. P continues to chase Detective. Detective finds a coin from the carnival area and goes to the metro area, remembering that there is a vending machine there. The machine there requires 2 coins to get a mallet. Detective finds a lit torch in the room and goes to the cave to get a safe key. They then go to the school and open the safe key to get their second coin. They return to the metro and get the mallet, quickly making their way to the carnival area where they get a picture of Mrs. P. Detective had the real picture, so they gave it to Mr. P, finally snapping him out of Tio's trance and bringing everyone out of the illusion. Mr. P then gets on his hands and knees and apologizes, explaining that he left the hospital after he thought Detective was infected. He explained how the researchers helped to protect him, but there was nothing that could protect him from his own mistakes. Georgie angrily exclaims that now Mr. P knows that they are real and demands to know what he did with his family. Mr. P tells him they wanted to help him with his research, but Georgie interrupts him, saying he took them away and hurt them. Georgie then threatens to turn Mr. P into tomorrow's dinner, but Detective stops him, saying if he does, he is no better than Mr. P, adding on that it would turn Georgie into what he hates the most about Mr. P. Georgie acknowledges this, and Mr. P tells them they need to leave and that it is no longer safe at the plant. Detective agrees, saying the place is infested. Mr. P tells them he will fight the infected until he dies, claiming it's time for him to redeem himself. Detective wishes Mr. P luck, and Georgie turns to head back to Zizzy and Pony. He then asks Detective if they are going with. Detective hesitates, then goes to Mr. P one last time. Mr. P wants to tell Detective his story, but fear they won't believe him. Detective responds, saying that they need to know. Mr. P tells them they must leave after, as there is very little time. He ends his story, and Detective thanks him for telling him and promises they won't forget him. Mr. P wishes Detective and Georgie luck, and they make their way out to where Zizzy and Pony demolish the horde of infected soldiers. Pony welcomes them back, saying they took care of the infected, and asks what happened to them. Detective explains that Mr. P isn't a threat anymore, and Zizzy congratulates them. Pony ruins the moment by asking what to do now. Georgie answers, asking if they should look for the cure. They then head back to the safe place to share with the others. Across the North Sea, the military makes plans to go after patient Zero, Mrs. P, but are unable to find her, instead finding Penny. They bring her over the sea and into Outpost Echo, where they begin doing tests to make a cure, many scientists scolding Mr. P for making them fix his problems. Willow learns of this through her radio at Settlement 6 and writes in her journal when she finds William, she will take him across the North Sea to where they will be safe. At this time, Daisy is also transferred to Outpost Echo to guard it. Tia learns of the attempt at the cure and sends some of the infected across the sea to start infecting that side of the sea, along with reinforcements from Doveport. Nearby, Kona digs into an ancient site, this time an old temple. He is worried the government will find out but continues on. He does some research on the infection and looks through some personal files. He then figures out that infected with green eyes are more independent, but unfortunately can't figure out much on the orange eye infected. But he finds out they travel in packs and go long distances in the blink of an eye. Outpost Echo has had positive results from their experiments and find that Penny is less aggressive than before and intend to notify their headquarters. Soon after they develop a cure which alarms Tio, he immediately sends many infected over to Outpost Echo, catching it by surprise. Outpost Echo then initiates an evacuation order which has some of the scientists suspicious of a corrupt military. The soldiers in the front don't stand a chance and are attacked before they can reach a radio. Daisy is among the soldiers attacked and later infected. The remaining people in Outpost Echo attempt to hide as the infected go deeper into the lab. Penny is set free and some scientists attempt to flee through the vents but to no avail. The military have difficulty stopping the infected as the bombs they use are having little effect on the hordes of infected, and with Outpost Echo going quiet, the soldiers are forced to wait for orders. A ship named the Medora takes off after reports of the infection spread, unaware that the infected are already on board. The crew, including Kenneth, who takes safety seriously, Pepper, who takes his job very seriously, and Bobby, whose main concern is his family. Bobby makes out the words "don't" in Doveport from a transmission via radio, but intends to keep listening. The infected make themselves known, and the captain of the ship, Budgie, orders the infected and anyone suspected to be infected thrown overboard. The crew oblige and begin tossing them over. Bobby unfortunately gets scratched and is noticed by Pepper. He reports the incident but is too late. The infection spreads inside and Pepper and another crewmate, Archie, are infected. Budgie and Kenneth are all that are left until Kenneth is attacked. Budgie is able to get out from the inside before Kenneth makes a last-ditch effort to seal off the ship so that no more infected can get out. Budgie then writes an apology letter to the crew and turns the ship towards Susa's side of the sea. At the safe place, Detective snaps out of a flashback with Georgie, Zuzi, and Z playing a game of tag. Detective, still confused, asks where, with Mimi answering if they remember a radio they got during a supply run. Detective asks if Minnie can get it working, and she responds they need batteries. Zizzy tells Detective she and Pony are going to the store to get batteries, and asks Detective if they are going with. Detective says sure, and they head out. Mimi and Giraffe make a bet on when the group will return. Mimi bet before noon, Giraffe afternoon. As they enter the store, Zizzy reminds Detective and Pony that they are here for batteries and leaving. Pony agrees but says he will take any carrots he finds, hoping they aren't expired. Unfortunately, they find Dessa in the parking garage and need to make the trip a little bit faster. They find a key to open the store door and make their way inside. Pony rushes to the back but is blocked by a shelf, claiming he could move it out of the way if he had energy. Detective grabs another key and opens a gardening room where they grab yet another key to open a lounge area where they get, you guessed it, another key to Gorilla Airways, where they find a carrot for Pony. He pushes the shelf out of the way and Detective continues deeper into the store where they find a remote control and scissors. They run around the store, disabling TV monitors to unlock a safe to get another safe key. They open the safe at Gorilla Airways and get a ladder. How does a ladder fit in there? Anyway, they use the ladder to get to the second floor of the storage area where they get one of the 2 batteries they need. They then go back to the gardening room where they cut some of the grass until they find another safe key. They return to the lounge area and open the safe there and get the last battery. They then give them to Zizzy and the group makes their way out. They return to the safe place and meet Mimi and Giraffe where they have the radio. Mimi greets them, telling Giraffe she won the bet. Giraffe acknowledges and agrees to cook for the rest of the week. Detective tells them they got the batteries and asks if the radio is ready. Mimi says it is and encourages to get it working. Z eavesdrops on the conversation nearby. The batteries are placed in and Mimi turns on the radio. She begins to talk into the radio asking if anyone can hear her. Giraffe questions if the radio is working, only for the signal to be picked up from Settlement 6, with Willow most likely on the other side. Willow asks who this is, and Mimi responds this is the safe place, and asks how she can help. Willow responds they are looking for communities to trade with, and would like to meet up. Mimi asks where they would like to meet up, and Willow responds with the old oak. The signal dies and Mimi wants to meet them as they haven't seen another survivor for months. Pony doesn't agree, saying they know nothing about them. Giraffe asks if this is another joke, but Pony says it isn't and they have no idea who they are or if they can be trusted. Zizzy agrees that they shouldn't trust them, but it's still a good idea to check it out. Pony is shocked, reiterating they don't know them. Zizzy reminds him they know how to handle themselves and know how to get out of trouble. Detective agrees, reminding Zizzy and Pony they fought off an army of infected by themselves. Pony finally gives up but still doesn't think it's a good idea. Zizzy gets excited to get going but asks who will be staying. Giraffe is staying to get as much food as he can for the winter, and Mimi is staying to see if she can learn more about the radio. Zizzy exclaims it's the 3 of them again, and Detective encourages them to get going. Willow, along with Tigry, Baron, Pandy, and Kitty, make their way to the old oak as fast as they can and wait to ambush Detective, Zizzy, and Pony. As the group of 3 get there, they don't see anyone, and Pony questions if this is the right place, as they haven't seen anyone. Willow recognizes the voice and steps out of hiding along with the other TSP members and greets them. Pony immediately knows this is bad, with Willow walking up to him and mocking him, saying how he was a good friend but is worth nothing now. She then walks up to Detective and reminds them how they took Willow away from her family and mocks him, saying it must have felt good. She then turns to Zizzy and asks who she is, as they have never met. Zizzy responds she knows a lot about Willow and TSP. Willow assumes Pony told Zizzy about them and that he could never keep his mouth shut. Willow then ponders aloud what to do and decides to take Zizzy with them back to Settlement 6 and leave Detective and Pony. Pony objects, telling her to leave Zizzy alone and moves towards Willow, but she pulls out her gun, telling him to back off, and she doesn't want to hurt anyone, claiming she is taking Zizzy for questioning. Zizzy promises Pony she will stay safe and come back. Willow taunts Pony, saying Zizzy understands, then orders the rest of TSP to head back to Settlement 6. Pony is shocked that Zizzy left, but then tells Detective about TSP and how he needed a group after the infection broke out. He continues on, saying while he was there he did some awful things, but he was scared to leave. Detective asks what made them leave, and Pony says it's a story for another time, but they still need to save Zizzy. Detective asks if they should go tell the others at the safe place, but Pony says there isn't time and that he needs Detective now more than ever, and he can't save Zizzy alone. Detective agrees and they follow the TSP members back to Settlement 6. Zizzy is then put in a room with infected, including Polly. After Willow got to Settlement 6, she would return to the factory seemingly to plan out what she will do about Detective now that she knows they are alive. Detective and Pony arrive at Settlement 6 and scat it out. Detective asks Pony if he has been here before, but Pony says he hasn't, but has confidence they can save Zizzy. Pony cautions Detective to be careful as there could be guards everywhere. Detective grabs scissors nearby and cuts a hole through the wire fence for them to get in. Tiger appears behind them and begins to chase Detective, determined to prove his worth. Detective quickly cuts another hole in the wire fence and gets a key to open the refinery. The other TSP members get wind of this and begin to chase, but are outpaced by Detective and go back to their guard spot, though Tiger continues to chase Detective out of sheer determination. Pony sneaks past them and waits for Detective near a vent shaft. Detective grabs a key to a meeting room from behind a staircase where Kitty was waiting and begins to chase, but again, Detective outpaces them, grabbing a smoke grenade from an upstairs laundry room as they return to the meeting room and blind Kitty with smoke. They then get a screwdriver from the meeting room and make their way to the cafe and unscrew a door where they grab a safe key. Making their way upstairs, they meet up with Pony, who says he could get through the vent and make a distraction if he had a carrot. Detective then goes to the bunk bed room on either side of the big room and gets 2 keys. They open a room with a radio, a battery, and a safe. They take the battery and open the safe, taking the carrot inside and give it to Pony. He jumps into the vent, causing a lot of noise, which draws the attention of Katie away from the path downstairs. Detective goes down, finding another safe key under the staircase, and meets up with Pony, who found a toy car in the vent. Pony asks for a battery so he can lead Philip, who's guarding the room Zizzy is in, into a room so they can trap him. Detective hands him the battery they found earlier and goes to find a key card to open the door they plan to trap Philip in. Detective attempts to sneak into an oil storage room but are spotted by Philip. Detective grabs a key card in the room and outruns Philip, opening the door to trap him in the process. Philip then goes back to guarding the door, with Pony then turning on the toy car and luring Philip into the room where he is then trapped. Detective then makes their way around and opens an office with a safe in it. They open the safe and get a key to the room Zizi is in and unlock it along with unscrewing it open. They enter only to find Zizi beating up Polly. Zizi then turns to them and tells them it's good to see them again. She then tells them about how many infected she knocked out and even started to enjoy it. Pony tells Zizzy he is relieved to see she is okay, but Detective interrupts saying they should get out of there as other TSP members not in Settlement 6 will soon find out something went wrong. Pony agrees and encourages Zizzy to get going. Zizzy thinks she pulled a muscle from fighting infected, but is horrified to see a scratch mark on her arm. Pony is hoping that wasn't from an infected, but Zizzy tries to explain, but realizes she is a goner and tells Detective and Pony to leave. Pony tells her they aren't going anywhere without her and that they can get help. Zizzy asks what help. She is infected and there's no cure they have. Pony tells her they will find a cure and save her. She then reminds him if there was a cure they wouldn't even be here. She continues saying Pony wouldn't want to see her turning into an infected, and again asks Detective and Pony to leave, saying she will make a distraction and sabotage as much as she can while they escape. Pony tries to say something but can't, and Zizzy and Pony hug for the last time. Detective tells Zizzy to take care and she wishes them luck, saying she will miss them. Detective and Pony leave, and Zizzy plans what to do to distract the TSP members. Zizzy reminds herself that it's only a scratch and needs to make a distraction so that Detective and Pony can escape. She leaves the room wondering what could cause a big distraction. She grabs a key from the oil storage room and heads upstairs to unlock the door to her right and gets a lit candle from the shelf. As the infection slowly takes over and her vision is manipulated, she sees her sisters, both with abnormal eyes and walking in sync with swords. She runs away from them on a catwalk and burns away a web blocking a path into the boiler room with a strange black creature at the end. She makes her way to the nearby room and grabs a safe key. She then heads upstairs into the radio room where she opens the safe there and gets a screwdriver. She then makes her way down and unscrews the door to the cafe where she finds a bundle of TNT. She continues through the cafe area, grabbing another safe key and finds a rusted sword from behind a staircase leading up. She makes her way upstairs and beats up a black creature with red details and continues to the boiler room and beats up the black creature she saw before and enters a maze. She beats up 2 more black creatures and finds a safe near the back of the maze which had a key in it. Making her way out of the maze, she grabs another TNT bundle and goes upstairs to unlock the laundry room and grabs a third TNT bundle. She then goes to the boiler room and places the TNT on top of each of the 3 boilers. She lights the TNT and decides to go out before the entire place blew up. As she got outside, she enters an illusion created by Tio. He greets Zizzy, but she is confused as to what is going on. Tio presents himself, saying it's nice to meet Zizzy and would like to help her with her predicament. Zizzy questions why he would help her, and he answers because she is strong, resilient, and a talented warrior, and she can do much for him in return. Zizzy says she isn't interested in making deals right now, but Tio is persistent, telling Zizzy he was once living in the world of Piggy and that he was young and quiet. Tio continues on saying when his time there ended, his time in the void began, and he became more than what he once was. He then makes a remark saying what can happen to a quiet child such as Z that upsets Zizzy. She says not to mention her and that Z is nothing like him. Tio responds saying that Z has never spoken and never will. Zizzy has had enough and asks Tio what he wants and if it's to hurt her. Tio denies that, saying he wants her to join him, saying he could do incredible things. Zizzy rejects this, saying she would never join him. He agrees, but says her friends might. He then disappears and an illusion of Pony walks up to Zizzy. She asks if it's really him, but Pony tries to talk but can't think of anything to say. Zizzy realizes this is an illusion and that this pony isn't real. Pony is confused by what she said and asks where they are. Zizzy responds saying she doesn't know, but she will find a way out. Pony continues saying they missed her and promises to get her back. Zizzy knows this isn't the real Pony, but wants to apologize. Pony is confused by this, and Zizzy apologizes for wanting to meet TSP, saying it's been so long since they've seen another survivor and couldn't live with the fact they'd never see another survivor again. Pony tells Zizzy he wouldn't mind it if he didn't get to see any more faces, as long as the only face he saw was hers. Zizzy is taken aback by this, saying he doesn't mean that, but Pony confirms it, saying her photo was what kept him going. He continues saying he won't stop until he sees her again, no matter what. Zizzy says Tio is bad for playing tricks on her, and Pony responds asking if she has seen him too. Zizzy is surprised by this, and Pony fades away. Tio then materializes in front of Zizzy, offering his hand to her. Zizzy takes a long pause before walking over to him, reaching for his hand, and then another black hand grabs her shoulder and yanks her backwards. Detective and Pony make their way back to the safe place with their heads low. Mimi and Giraffe were out in the middle, with Zuzi, Z, and Georgie waiting by the front door. Mimi and Giraffe became concerned that Zuzi was not with them. Zuzi, Z, and Georgie made their way closer, realizing what happened, with Z clearly upset. They all stand in silence after the loss of Zuzi. A note is then put on the radio to never turn it on again. The TSP members stationed at what's left of Settlement 6 make their way back to the factory as Settlement 6 is no longer usable. The members tell Willow what happened and she makes a plan to get back at Detective and Pony along with relocate some of the TSP members elsewhere. The following morning, she rounds up the TSP members that were at Settlement 6 and takes a bazooka as they travel to the safe place. Baron then takes the bazooka and starts to fire at the building, waking everyone up inside. Zuzi and Z make their way into a vent and get out of the building. Georgie goes to Detective's room and wakes them up saying they need to leave. Detective gets up and asks what that sound was, though Georgie doesn't know and doesn't want to find out. Detective makes her way out of the room and finds a robotic infected on the top floor from Zizi's room. Alright. They grab a screwdriver from the back and unscrew a door leading downstairs. They find a ladder in a nearby storage room and place it to get down from the now destroyed stairs on their floor. Detective and Georgie make their way downstairs, stopping by the storage room on each floor where Detective grabs 3 keys and some grass. Unfortunately, there is a fire on the landing to the last floor and Detective has to find a way to get the extinguisher from the storage room nearby. They leave Georgie by the fire and return upstairs where they unlock Giraffe's door. He thanks Detective for letting him out and offers to take out Ray's if he gets some grass in return. Detective gives him the grass and Giraffe knocks out Ray's. They head down together with Giraffe meeting up with Georgie by the fire and Detective going to the 4th floor. They make their way to the back and open a workout room where they grab a hammer. They then break open the glass holding the fire extinguisher and put out the fire. They go down to the exit where Detective breaks the boards off the door and returns to the 4th floor where they put out another fire in the entrance to Mimi's room and open Pony's door. They both thank Detective and Pony asks if everything is okay. Pony, everything is not okay. He then makes his way upstairs to check on Zuzi and Z. Mimi says she needs help getting the safe open, saying it will help them get out. Detective takes an elevator key from Pony's room, then makes their way down while Pony shouts that Zuzi and Z aren't there and they must have gotten out from the vent. He then says something about the insolence watching, but he has no idea what he just said. Detective goes into a room behind where they keep the radio and grab a key to the cafe. Detective opens the cafe and the elevator inside. They grab a safe key from the elevator and another safe key from the cafe and open a safe in the cafe containing the exit key. Detective then returns to Mimi's room and opens the safe which had a blowtorch. Mimi takes the blowtorch and tells Detective she hopes this is enough for saving her. They then make their way down to the exit where Pony, Georgie, and Giraffe await. Mimi blowtorches the door and Detective unlocks it and the group make their way out to confront a very angry Willow. She bids them good morning and says she was told Detective and Pony caused a stir at one of their outposts. Pony questions why she is blowing up the safe place, saying she is destroying the home of innocent people. Willow counters saying Settlement 6 was the home of many people as well. She continues saying Pony, Detective, and Zizzy are responsible for many relocations as they can't afford to feed them in one place. Georgie lashes out saying to leave Pony alone and that she took Zizzy away from them. Willow responds saying as much as she'd like to defend their actions, they did horrible things to her people, i.e. blow up Settlement 6. Willow then orders to take the safe place group with them so they can control what they do. Giraffe protests saying they haven't done anything, with Willow saying she intends to keep it that way. They take the group to the factory where Zuzi and Z follow them. Some of the TSP members get worried about Willow, seeing her anger has resurfaced when she is in Detective and Pony's presence. Tiger gets curious about what Willow is hiding in her office and suspects she knows something that they don't and intends to get in no matter the cost. The Safe Place group are then put into a makeshift prison cell where Willow says they will stay there until they either cooperate or wear out. She then leaves saying she will talk to them soon. Giraffe says they owe Pony an apology. Pony questions why and Mimi answers they shouldn't have met TSP and he was right to be suspicious of it. Giraffe says they are sorry, which Pony forgives them for. He then reminds the group they need to get out somehow. Zuzi and Z make their way into the sewers where Z finds a rusted pipe that they use as a sword and try to get a door open but it is locked. They then kick open the sewer hatch into the prison cell and Zuzi asks for one of the group to come down and help them get the door open. Detective volunteers to go and asks the rest of the group to stay so the guards don't get suspicious. Detective climbs down and encourages the twins to get the cell door open and stop Willow. They make their way into the sewers and run into Alphys and have to make their trip that much faster. Detective finds a key to the sewer valves and opens it, getting another key and a plank by one of the valve controllers. They make their way to a room in the back, opening it and placing the plank to get to where a screwdriver is located. They grab it along with a set of gears and make their way to the valve, grabbing another set of gears by a safe. They unscrew the valve cover and place a set of gears and go to the other valve to do the same. The flooded water is then drained and Detective, Zuzi, and Z make their way down. Detective finds yet another key and opens the main sewer line, while Zuzi spots something shiny in a vent but needs something to reach it. Detective makes their way through the sewer line and grabs a safe key on the other side. They make their way up and open the safe they found earlier and get a key from it. They open the door the twins were trying to get into, seeing the ladder to get up, but it is locked. They unscrew the lock but still need a key. They then grab a safe key inside and make their way back down into a classroom. When Detective steps into the classroom, they begin to hear voices and ask if Zuzi or Z can hear them too. Detective says they call their name but then question why there is a classroom here anyway. Detective then opens a safe in the room and gets a mop. They give the mop to Zuzi and she and Z work together to get the shiny object from the vent. This object turns out to be the key to the locked ladder. They unlock the ladder and Zuzi tells Detective to go on ahead while she and Z get some things back from the safe place. She wishes Detective luck and Detective thanks the twins and asks them to stay safe and meet outside the factory when they get back. They make their way out and Detective unlocks the cell. Detective encourages everyone to get out, but Pony asks where the twins are. Detective answers they will meet them outside and that they need to leave now. They make their way out of the cell and Tigre sees them escaping. He takes one of his daggers and aims to throw, but changes his mind. Willow shows up behind him and pushes him aside, telling him he is useless and she has to do things herself. She aims her gun at Detective and mutters, "This is for William." She fires, but Giraffe realizes and took the bullet for Detective. Mimi screams Giraffe's name as he falls to the ground but is still alive. Giraffe tells Pony he hopes this is enough to forgive him for Zizzy, and Pony says it's more than enough. Detective says to get Giraffe out and turns to Willow, claiming they are done running and want to settle things. Willow agrees and they prepare to fight. Georgie and Mimi get Giraffe out, leaving Detective and Pony to fight Willow. Meanwhile, Tigre sneaks away to avoid the conflict. Detective and Pony face Willow, who has her gun pointed at them. They hear a sound from the sewer hatch and Willow taunts them, saying that doesn't sound friendly. On top of that, she has a weapon and they don't, saying it wouldn't be fun or fair. She gives them a head start and shoots a light before heading back to her office to lock it up. She locks it up and goes back to kill Detective and Pony, mainly Detective. Pony says they need to stop her and suggests they look around for something to use. Detective finds a key and opens the door to get out just as Squally gets out of the sewer and begins to chase them. They make their way down just as Willow gets outside, and they find a key on a nearby shelf and open up the storage building. Detective begins to notice the other TSP members are not after them and are trapped in many strange ways. They continue on, with Detective getting another key, a wood sword, and a safe key. Detective gives the sword to Pony and he says he misses having one of these. He then attacks Willow with it, but it breaks. Pony is surprised by this and tells Detective to find more. Willow is briefly stunned from the blow, but shrugs it off and continues after Detective, not bothered by Pony. Detective opens an adjacent building which has conveyors and finds another sword for Pony. Again, the sword breaks as Pony hits Willow and she is still focused on Detective. Detective makes her way up a conveyor and opens a safe on a catwalk and gets a key to Willow's office. They open the office and grab a third sword. Finally, Willow goes down and Pony says they should meet up with the others. Detective hesitates though, remembering the trapped TSP members. They decide to find tools to free the members, with each of the members thanking Detective, then explain the strange situations that got them stuck, some claiming that someone did it. Tigre would then sneak into Willow's office where he learns of the cure being made across the North Sea. He then takes Willow's boat key and makes his way out. After which, Detective, Pony, and the rest of the TSP members in the factory get out together and meet Georgie, Mimi, and Giraffe by a path with Tigre watching from a distance. Sometime later, Willow emerges injured and aims her gun at Detective. Katie sees this and tells her to stop, saying they saved their lives. Willow responds saying they destroyed hers, but Zuzi and Z then appear after getting back from the safe place with their swords, and Zuzi shouts to Detective, "Look out." Willow is taken aback by their sudden appearance and asks who they are. Pony answers saying they are Zuzi's sisters and she took Zuzi away from them. Willow is shocked by this and lowers her gun sight, allowing Tigre to throw one of his daggers and disarms Willow. She takes a knee, realizing what she did to Zuzi and Z. Tigre then goes towards the port where he intends to make off with Willow's boat, but stops to listen more. Willow explains she had no idea and struggles to apologize. Mimi says Giraffe will be okay, but needs to stay here for a bit to rest. Katie says the TSP members will look after him as their way of saying thanks. Pony questions this, but Katie answers they showed them they need to work together, otherwise they might as well be infected. Mimi mentions they have supplies at the factory also, and Giraffe promises he will be safe with them. Willow then says she knows a way of saving Zizzy, and Georgie questions why they should trust her. She then explains she heard the military working on a cure up north through radio broadcasts, and Katie asks why they weren't told of that. Willow explains she vowed to find William and she would use the cure to help him if he was infected, but if he wasn't, they would go north for safety. She adds on that no matter what, he's gone and remembers what it's like to lose a family member and doesn't want the twins to feel the same way. Now Zizzy needs it, so Zuzi and Z won't have to go through what Willow did with William. Detective asks how they know this isn't a trap, and Willow says she will go with them, and if she puts them in any danger, they have her gun. Georgie trusts her, saying everyone's lost something, and this is a chance to get something back. Detective agrees and says it's time to work together for a better future. Pony tells Willow this is her one chance, and Zuzi asks if they are going to save Zizzy. Detective confirms it and suggests they get going. The conversation ends and Tigray makes his way to the boat. Giraffe heads back to the factory with the TSP members, and Willow has flashbacks of her past. Soon after, Detective, Pony, the twins, Georgie, Mimi, and Willow make their way to the port to get across the North Sea. Tigray departs from the boat at Doveport and makes his way inland, exploring around the area for some new clothes, and puts on the scarf Willow gave him when they first met. With Tigray stealing Willow's boat, the group are unable. Wait, what's that noise? Oh no!
With Tigray stealing Willow's boat, the group are unable to make it across the North Sea. Mimi then questions if they can get the lighthouse on. Detective instructs the group to stay by the pier as they go to see if they can get the lighthouse on. As they go to the small town in the port, they are chased by an infected in an old diving suit. And detectives makes their way to the alleys of the port and where they find a key to the upstairs part of the diner. Their detective finds a door key, battery, and a safe key. The door key unlocks an upstairs part of the nearby apartment building. Detective searches the top of the building but is blocked by rubble at the top of the stairs. Detective searches a nearby apartment room and finds a key to the balcony of the diner. The balcony contains a key to the lighthouse. Detective finds a shovel and another battery in the lighthouse along with 4 slots where batteries go to power the lighthouse. They go back to the apartment building and go up the stairs to clear out the rubble to get to the top where Detective finds another safe key. They use the first safe key to get a plank to get across the open gap between buildings, grabbing another battery in the room. Then Detective uses the second safe key to get a grappling hook to get to the top of the lighthouse, where the fourth and final battery is. Detective plugs in the batteries and the lighthouse begins working, drawing the attention of a ship, the Medora. Medora docks at the pier and the group gets on. Detective asks aloud if anyone is there, only to be greeted by Captain Budgie, who questions if they activated the lighthouse. Pony says they were, then asks Budgie for help. Budgie is angered by this request, saying this isn't a charity. Willow, on the other hand, gets straight to the point, saying they need to get across the North Sea as fast as possible. Unfortunately, Budgie says all the fuel was spent docking. Detective asks if there is any spare fuel, but Budgie says it's impossible to get to. Mimi requests why, and Budgie explains in pirate talk that the whole crew is infected and was forced to seal up the ship. Willow volunteers to retrieve the fuel, and Budgie calls her insane. Willow arrogantly says she does not fear the infected and that they should fear her. Budgie responds saying she thought the same and that they did something worse. Detective asks if Budgie lost her hand to them, but Budgie says it was a swimming pool accident. I highly doubt that, but moving on. Budgie lost her crew to the infected and Detective decides to go with Willow, but she says she might mistake Detective for an infected. Pony responds saying that Willow is the only one who knows where the cure is and they need her alive. Willow reluctantly agrees to this, and Mimi asks Budgie where they be landing across the sea. Budgie says Doveport, and Mimi remarks that she knows an engineer there. Budgie wished Detective and Willow luck, goes to unseal the ship, and says, "Don't get infected."
Ahem. Budgie says when they get inside, they should get to the hull, which is where she thinks the fuel is. Detective acknowledges and heads to the inside of the ship. Willow says she will catch up to Detective soon, saying she needs a moment to think. Detective continues inside and grabs a key to the lower levels. Detective grabs a safe key from a nearby shelf and goes to the bow where they open a safe to get a screwdriver and meet Archie. Detective then quickly makes their way back down where they find a dormant Kenneth along with the key that goes to a nearby room. They grab a wrench that was in there and go further down and drain the water with the screwdriver. They continue down and grab another key and go up but awaken Kenneth. Detective continues upward where they meet up with Willow and she knocks out Kenneth. Detective then uses the key they got and opens another portion of the ship that leads to a pipe room where they find Bobby and a key. They then head back down and up in the hull. They then find another safe key by the container with the fuel and go upstairs to the bridge, clearing smoke with the wrench in the process. They then find lit up panels for a color code to the container and Pepper. They continue to the top where they get a key from a safe. They head down, unscrew, unlock, and open the container. Detective and Willow then look over the fuel barrels. Willow is surprised in how little fuel is left, to which Detective says it should be enough to get across the North Sea. Willow then says if it's enough to shut Detective up, she is fine with it. Detective then warns Willow about Kenneth that appeared outside the container, but it is too late, as Kenneth locks the container shut. Aren't you supposed to be mindless? Moving on, Willow angrily hits the door, but it doesn't budge, complaining she's trapped with Detective. Detective assures her they can get the door open, but Willow says all they have are barrels. Detective then gets a bright idea of getting to know each other while they are trapped, but Willow says she'd rather get to know a sewer gator than Detective. Realizing Willow is still angry about the arrest, Detective reminds Willow they were following orders and doing their job. Willow says she was doing the same, just protecting her family. Detective points out there was no one in the room when they searched it, but Willow says they took them away already, adding on she hasn't seen her parents in over 10 years. She then demands to know where they are, but Detective doesn't know. Willow turns away, saying Detective will always be another cog in a machine. Detective snaps back, telling her she took away Detective friends as well, saying she is no angel, to which Willow responds there are no angels in a world like this. Detective then reminds her they need to work together to get out, or they will risk hurting each other and themselves. They add on they want to help Willow and asks her to do the same. Willow questions why when suddenly Georgie can be heard from outside. The door gets open with the rest of the group outside, minus Budgie. Detective questions how they found them, and Mimi answers they got worried and searched the ship after they didn't find any infected. She then explains there was a heat signal from the container. She adds on they have a mission to follow and a friend to meet. Pony explains Georgie ran ahead and found them. Georgie argues he was trying to help, to which Zuzi insults him for. Georgie tells her to take it back, but is interrupted by Detective asking where Budgie is. A loud sound was heard and Pony says they should check it out. The entire group made up on the deck and Budgie says they have arrived at Doveport. Budgie thanks them for getting the fuel so they could dock and wishes them luck. Will then points out luck won't matter as Tiger was already here. Pony and Detective go to clear a path for the rest of the group but find Marcus instead. Detective finds a key to get into the building and they and Pony escape Marcus for the time being. Detective then finds some TNT by one of the entrances and blows open a cracked wall which had a staircase leading down. They grab a safe key inside and head out of the building to open a safe and get a key. They then go back in and find a key in the back of the building on a downstairs floor. They use the key to open an old-looking door and find caskets, a number on a set of 3 discs, and a lit candle. They take the candle and make their way over to a dark area where they light a torch, revealing the room to be a maze. They navigate through the maze and find a safe key and another number on discs. They get out of the maze and up a ladder, but are caught off guard when Marcus teleports close to Detective and Pony. Again, they are able to get away, and Detective grabs a key in a room overlooking a black pit. They then open a room nearby and continue back to the room where they got the TNT, finding another number on discs in the process before opening up a storage room to get a hammer. They return to the room they previously opened, putting in the code with the discs and breaking boards blocking the exit to get a plank. They go back to the ladder and place the plank to get across a gap to open a safe and get the exit key. Detective then gets out with Pony trailing behind. Detective then gets to a bridge with Tigry on another bridge parallel to Detective's. Detective shouts to Tigry, who turns to face Detective. Detective says he's seen Tigry before and asks him his name. He responds and says he remembers Detective from Settlement 6 in the factory, adding on they stopped Willow and saved the TSP members. He then apologizes for hunting Detective, explaining he was doing what he was told rather than thinking for himself. Detective introduces themselves and says they understand the feeling. Tigry then asks what Detective is doing, and they respond that they are looking for a cure to save their friend. Tigry asks if Willow's with them, and Detective explains she is helping to find it. Tigry says Detective is on the wrong side and that she is using them to get to the cure before him. He continues on that Detective of all people should know this and that Willow doesn't change, putting on a show for her own selfish reasons. Detective ignores this and asks Tigry why he is looking for the cure. He responds to save a friend, just like Detective. He then asks if Detective would join him, saying he will help get Zizzy back. Detective responds saying they don't know Tigry and they could be just as dishonest as Willow. Tigry says Willow can't be trusted any more than him. He then leaves, saying his offer still stands. Pony catches up to Detective and asks what he missed. Detective says Tigry was also looking for the cure to help their friend and offered to help if they ditched Willow. Pony likes the offer and asks if he could catch up to Tigry, but Detective says they need to give Willow a chance, adding on he needs to trust her for her to trust them. Pony says he is only doing this for Zizzy and can't look at the twins without thinking of her. Detective agrees but says they can save her and tells Pony they should get the others and get to the surface. The group gets to the surface and wander outside Kona's house, which is being surrounded by explosives. Detective gets jump scared by Robbie Prototype, and Kona comes out saying there's nothing to worry about as Robbie doesn't have a chainsaw and says to consider themselves lucky. He then says it's not safe and to get inside. Kona then greets Mimi as it's been years since they met and asks how she is. Mimi says it's good to see Kona as well, but says the group hasn't been. Kona agrees, then introduces himself to the rest of the group. He then says Prototype Robbie is his assistant, which Zuzi finds adorable, and Georgie questions why she would think that. And you have every right to be. Kona continues saying he's been studying the infected and says they are interesting. Mimi asks if he'd mind filling them in, and Kona explains the military evacuated everyone north when a lot of infected appeared, so the military started to bomb the place. He continues saying the infected are getting stronger and mentions the military working on a cure. He asks if this is why they are here, and Mimi confirms. Georgie then asks why Kona is here, and he responds he won't let the military take his research and intends to stay as long as he can. He then says that he and Robbie could help, but Willow doesn't think so, calling Robbie a tin can. Kona says Robbie is probably more capable than her and can't get infected. He says they can use the exit to his lab downstairs, and that Robbie will escort as it isn't safe. He then jokingly adds it's probably more dangerous than outside. He then tells Robbie to keep them safe, then tells Mimi to take a portable radio with them, and Kona will call if he hears anything and wishes them luck. Robbie tells Detective they will clear the path for the rest of the group, and Detective acknowledges, then asks how hard it could be. You had to ask. They get to the bottom of the lab and go outside where they find Spidella, an infected who begins to chase them. Detective grabs a key before going down the stairs and deeper into the temple. They take a right and open an old door where they find a symbol on the wall and another key. They go the opposite way they came and open another old door where they find a second symbol and a lit candle. Detective uses the candle to burn a web blocking the path and move deeper into the temple. They find a third symbol and a safe key and continue to the exit door where Robbie breaks some ice and Detective solves the puzzle, then grabs a key nearby. They go back past the stairs and open yet another door leading into the lab. Detective opens a safe at the base of the stairs and gets a hammer from it before grabbing another key on the way up and opens a door at the top of the stairs, grabbing a shovel inside. They then go back to the exit and break boards on it before getting in a plank. They would then clear rubble blocking a path to a nearby room that has a safe and key across. Detective places the plank in the gap and they make their way across while dodging a massive swinging axe and grabbing a safe key and opening the safe to get the exit key. Going back over the plank and avoiding the axe again, Detective opens the exit and the rest of the group go out. This alarms Tio as the group are now very close to the cure at Outpost Echo and decides to pay the group, specifically Detective, a visit. Meanwhile, Tigre manages to get inside the lab at Outpost Echo and begins to place TNT while looking for the cure. The group gets to the surface when Detective feels unwell and is brought into an illusion by Tio. Confused, Detective asks aloud where they are. They then face Bunny but immediately realize it is not real. Bunny tells Detective they are awake, but Detective exclaims they are not real, all while Zizzy and Doggy appear behind them. Detective then says they are tired of these tricks and Tio asks if they are sure of it. Detective asks who said this and Tio reveals himself. Detective asks who he is, but Tio only shows Detective an image of the school and asks if Detective recognizes them. Detective acknowledges it's the school sewers, then tries to ask a question but is cut off. Tio does the same thing, showing Detective an image of the plant. He then says they are in Detective's memories, adding on it's not the first time Detective was here. Detective remembers the hallucinations at the plant and asks if Tio did it and why. Tio rambles on about memories, hallucinations, and whispers, then explains that he is interested in Detective and has been for a while, saying Detective is unique. Detective doesn't agree, saying they're an ordinary person in this messed up world. Tio says Detective is wrong, explaining Detective is supposed to be infected when they went to the Piggy residence. He continues on saying that Detective isn't infected, but alive. Detective ignores that and asks what Tio wants, but Tio explains Detective is immune to the infection and has potential to do many things beyond their understanding. Tio then offers Detective to see their friends again, but Detective shoots the offer down, saying Tio could just be in their head. Tio asks if Detective is rejecting his offer, and Detective replies they won't fall for any tricks. Tio says they are always stubborn, but turn to him when there is no one left. He then tells Detective one last thing. If they follow their path to the cure, they will regret it. Detective shouts for Tio to leave them alone and lunges at Tio, only for Detective to be brought out of the illusion facing Pony. Willow then says if they find a camera, Detective should do that again. Pony then asks if Detective has seen Tio as well. Detective asks who Tio is, and Pony says he doesn't know and that Tio has messed with his head ever since his mind went weak, along with Tio's fashion is just as strange as him. Pony continues on saying that because Tio's been more direct with them, he doesn't like what they are doing. Detective asks how Pony met Tio, and Pony says it was after he did certain things at TSB and felt guilty. He explains Tio used that as an opportunity to get into his head, offering Pony the ability to see his family again. He continues saying this is how Tio tries to take control, by using wicked bribes. Willow jumps in, asking Pony if he told Detective what he did, and Pony says now is not the time and that they need to find the cure. Willow says Detective deserves to know the truth and threatens to tell Detective if Pony doesn't. Pony retaliates, saying she forced him to do it and that he didn't want to. Mimi then calms them down, saying they are close to finding the cure. Robbie then volunteers to stay behind and protect the twins and Georgie, as this is Robbie's duty. The three of them protest, but Mimi says they want them to stay safe and that safety isn't guaranteed where they are going. Pony mentions the twins broke them out of the cell from the sewer, adding on not even he could do that. Willow is shocked by this information and says she is impressed. Detective then says Georgie was able to survive the infection for a long time and confronted Mr. P at the plant, adding on the group is safer with them. Mimi tries to come up with something, but Georgie says she can keep any tech they find. Mimi gives in but says not to tell Zizzy when they get back. Zizzy says bye to Robbie and the group continue forward to Outpost Echo. Kona then talks over the radio saying there is something happening at Outpost Echo and she will want to hear what he has to say. He says the outpost has been quiet for a while and advises caution. Detective, Pony, and Willow get inside the outpost while Mimi, the twins, and Georgie wait for them to find a way inside. Willow asks Detective if they have any idea what happened, with Detective responding there is very little damage, so the infected must have took the outpost by surprise. Pony takes Willow's gun and finds some bullets lying around and gets excited to use the gun. Unfortunately, an infected with a bazooka, Delta, finds the trio and begins to chase them. This triggers other infected to rise from the ground, and Pony and Willow take care of them. Detective enters a building with a cannon on the roof and finds a light code and a key to the nearby barracks that has a shovel inside. Detective then uses the shovel to dig up multiple snow piles until they find a ladder to get up to the cannon. They use the cannon to blow up rocks to get into a cave leading into the lab. At the entrance to the cave, Detective grabs a key to a building above the cave and grabs a rope from inside. They then enter another building nearby and grab a safe key along with another light code and a third behind the first building. They head back down to the cave and use the rope to get across the gap to the elevator leading to the lab. They take a key near the elevator and enter the light code. They then use the key to unlock a lookout tower above the cave and unlock a safe inside where they get an elevator key and another key next to the safe. They go back down and open the other lookout tower to get another safe key and head to the tent in the center to unlock a safe there and get some TNT. They use the TNT to blow up rocks blocking the elevator to the lab and enter the elevator. The trio then head back to the entrance to the outpost where Pony tells the rest of the group they found a way inside and he'll catch up with them soon. He then pulls Detective aside and asks to talk to them. Detective agrees, and Pony says Will is right and that he should tell Detective something. He explains that at the carnival he thought Detective was infected because he gave Detective the potion. Detective makes the connection to the forest and asks if that was Pony. He admits it was and that he wasn't proud of it, nor did he have a choice. Detective turns away saying they trusted Pony. Pony apologizes and explains if he forgot about it, they could stay friends, adding on he doesn't want to lose Detective. Detective says Pony tried to infect them and doesn't know if Pony will try to do it again. Pony says he knows what type of person Detective is and claims the world can't lose someone like that. Georgie then steps in saying someone once told him to forgive those who hurt him, because if he does, he is no better than that person. He continues on saying Detective told them that and tells them not to forget it, and everyone makes mistakes but tries not to repeat them. Detective agrees, turning back to Pony saying they can't forgive Pony but are still friends. Pony thanks Detective and they start to head to the elevator but are stopped by Willow, who just found out Daisy is one of the infected soldiers. Detective asks if she is okay and wonders what she is looking at. Willow says it's nothing and everything is fine. She then says they should get the cure and leave. The group enters the lab and Pony says they should split up and yell if someone finds the cure. Willow takes off alone after this and Mimi agrees to the plan. Detective follows Willow down the hall and sees her confront Tigry, who just placed some TNT. Tigry says he had a feeling Willow would show up, but she says the TNT was clever, but would never work in the long run. Tigry responds saying Willow would never work in the long run, adding she is a mess and hurts everyone she has gotten close to. Willow doesn't like this statement, but Tigry continues saying Willow has been nothing but a bully since he met her. He was once scared of her, but now he is ready to stand up for himself. Willow says she had fed, sheltered, and kept Tigry safe and wonders why this is what she gets in return. Tigry says it's more than she deserves and Willow has had enough and taunts Tigry, saying that he is all talk and wonders what he could possibly do. Tigry says she is about to find out, with Detective trying to get them to stop, but is of no use. The following can only be described as the best fight scene in Piggy. Willow says Tiger is not as bad as she thought, and Tiger responds there's more to him she is about to discover. The fight continues with Willow knocking Tiger to the floor, then holding him in a chokehold. They are interrupted by Tigre's TNT going off around the lab, and debris separate Willow and Tigre from Detective. Detective now has to find a way out on their own and goes through the door where Penny is waiting. Detective gets through the door, saying to themselves they will look for the cure, then find the others, reminding themselves they have been through worse. They get down the hall and see a door to their left with a code pad to open it. They continue on through a door at the end of the hall and grab a key nearby and open a door in the hall they came from. Detective gets through the door and into a research area that held 2 keycards in it. Detective takes the cards before running into Penny, who begins chasing them. Detective makes their way to a sealed-off door but unlocks it with one of the cards and escapes Penny as they head down a set of stairs. Detective makes their way through some halls until they enter a spacious area with holes in the ceiling containing a safe key. Penny then teleports to Detective the same way Marcus did, and the chase ensues with Detective grabbing a wrench in a hallway before losing Penny in an area with levers and doors that will close and open at random. Detective grabs another safe key from the outer parts of the area, then uses their second card to open the center area and unlock a safe in the middle, grabbing a key inside. They then head upstairs and crawl into a rusty vent that had a crawling black creature inside. They make their way through the vents and use the wrench to open up a room that has a safe inside. They then use the other safe key to open it and get a keycard. They use the keycard to open a sealed door which had a door at the end that needs power from levers to open. They then use the wrench to break open vent covers that reveal numbers that they then use to open the door they first saw and find Mimi. Detective tells her to use the radio to get help while Detective continues to look for the cure. Mimi acknowledges and Detective heads downstairs to a power room and opens a door to the control panel. They flick a switch, then go upstairs above the room and hit a button to turn on the power. They return to the door that requires power and look at the panel to figure out which levers they need to power the door. They go to the area with the levers and hit the correct levers and go back to the door only to find Willow and Tigre already inside with the cure they have been searching for on the shelf, along with the badly beaten Tigre. He pleads for Willow to finish it, but Detective steps in, telling Willow to direct her anger towards the infected if she has been suffering. Detective continues saying taking out each other is not how they survive, adding on they survive by helping each other. Detective reminds Willow at the factory she was focused on revenge, she didn't see the other TSP members in danger. They tell Willow if she wants to make a difference, she needs to stop this. Tigre then says to Willow they are alike and that they both keep their pain buried inside, adding on they both are alone and got separated from their friends and family. He tells her when they first met, she listened to him talk endlessly about how he felt, never interrupting. He ends off saying he wishes they could go back to the way things were. Mimi appears behind them saying the 3 of them are going to want to see what's happening outside. They then take the cure and go outside. The entire group gather outside to watch an osprey land in front of them, commanded by Sergeant Monroe. He talks to the group saying they got a distress call from civilians, among which are a deserter and a criminal. Detective tells him they have the cure, which Monroe has already heard, and explains that it's a shame that of all outposts, this one was wiped out, adding on it's almost like something tried to stop it. Almost on cue, a lot of infected rise from the snow, including Marcus, Ellie, Coley, and Alphys. Monroe doesn't like this and tells the soldiers accompanying him to ready their weapons. Tio then brings Detective into another illusion and confesses his disappointment. Detective tries to tell him off, but doesn't know his name. Tio then introduces himself by name and says he warned Detective not to follow this path, adding on he was trying to save everyone and wonders why Detective couldn't see that. He continues by saying free will is destructive and is what destroyed Detective's world, mentioning what Mr. P did. He says many will fight for the cure and that it will start a war over it. He says that war will not be against the infected, but among themselves. Detective disagrees, saying the cure is hope for the future and a way to bring back the world to how it was before the infection. Tio tells Detective they are too oblivious to foresee the destruction of the future. He then tells Detective he will have no other choice than to stop Detective and the group. He then transforms into a tall black figure with glowing details. Detective, Pony, Georgie, and Z are then brought into an illusion as they have all been in contact with Tio. Pony says Tio brought them to their memories, adding on what they are seeing isn't real and Tio's using their minds against them. Detective is back at the alley with Tio farther behind, closing in. Detective quickly finds the code needed to get out and enters the next room, a storage room in the Modora. Again, Detective punches in the code and gets to the next room, this time at Doveport, and again, Detective makes short work of the code. The following room is at the temple and opened with ease. The final room is at Outpost Echo, with Detective opening the door and getting transported to a maze with 3 rooms, each with one of Detective's friends and an infected person that friend has had a deep connection to. Pony with his infected dad on the roof of a building in Lucella, Georgie hanging from an upper floor of his home over an infected Penny, and Z standing face to face with an infected Zizzy at the safe place. Detective makes their way to Z's room and grabs a wood sword and gives it to Pony, who defeats his father with it. Detective then grabs a wood bat and brings it to Georgie, who escapes Penny with it. Finally, Detective takes a rusty pipe and brings it to Z, who takes out the infected Zizzy with it. This enrages Tio as he begins to chase Detective, but Detective realizes they can use their own memories to fight Tio. Detective grabs a bone, some grass, and a carrot and heads up a newly opened passageway. They are greeted by 2 black figures, one with glowing white details and the other with black details. Detective navigates yet another maze and finds Doggy in the gallery, Zizzy in the mall, and Bunny at the hospital. Detective gives them their items and the 3 of them beat Tio. Tio's heart is then pulled out of him with Tio crying out before Detective, Pony, Georgie, and Z are brought out of the illusion. Monroe says they have taken care of the infected and congratulates everyone, then asks to see the cure. Pony thanks Detective, saying Tio brought him to similar places but was never that aggressive. Georgie agrees but doesn't know what to think of his sister, but eventually says Tio got what was coming to him. Detective says they are happy to help, adding on none of them deserve to go through that. Willow tells Tigre she is sorry for everything she's done, with Tigre saying no kidding, adding on she hurt him. She explains she got so caught up with revenge she wasn't thinking about what she was saying and doing to those around her. She continues on saying if she wants to feel the way she did before, she needs to let go of her past and make a better future. Tigre says he will give her another chance and this will be her last. Willow says the military probably won't take them and recommends they travel their own way and that Tigre can take charge. Tigre says they don't want to be in charge but just want to have a say. Willow is fine with that, and Detective asks if this is a goodbye. Willow says it's never goodbye and thanks Detective for helping her realize in her pursuit for revenge she was only pushing away others around her. She adds on that it was losing others that caused it in the first place, and Detective tells her not to cause any trouble. She says no promises and wishes them luck with saving their friends. Monroe then says they should get going, adding on they have a mission to complete. Willow and Tigre make their way back across the North Sea and head towards what remains of Settlement 6. Tigre spots a military recruitment page and has a flashback of the last mission he had in the military. Willow says he must have seen a ghost, with Tigre agreeing. Willow tells him he can't let the past get to him, and Tigre makes fun of her. Willow gets the joke but says she is doing a better job of keeping herself together than Tigre. Tigre then asks Willow why she reached out to him, and she answers she felt like helping out. Tigre questions this, and Willow says she didn't like seeing another animal suffering alone. She then takes back her statement, and Tigre says he will keep asking until she tells him the real answer. Willow then threatens to push him into a nearby bush if he does, and the two continue walking. A legend then appears of a ranger who appears and disappears, saving travelers. One person who picked up the legend goes by the name Kate Clip, who doesn't want to be found by the military. Pony has a final hallucination back at Kono's house where the Safe Place group, including Giraffe and Zizzy, are there, and Detective, Pony, and Zizzy gather by a table. Pony mentions the price of carrots have gone up, and Zizzy suggests making a carrot farm. Pony then immediately says the price of carrots doesn't seem that bad. And that will be all for the timeline. I do realize there are notes in Piggy Inner City, but I want to save those for when Inner City does come out. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you'd like to see more of this, you know what to do. Goodbye.